Greetings, Judah. DFG, Gideon's Flight. Hey guys, just want to take a few minutes of your time on this particular day, just to bring forward, the word, and also to share with you. I don't want to call this an interesting find because it's been in existence since the beginning of time, I suspect, but even more prevalent in the time that we're in right now. And that is human cloning. Human cloning. I just so happened a couple of days ago to have been watching this video. And this video was of Bill Clinton. And he was president at that particular time. And he was going on this little, spiel about why the government should not be sponsoring or paying for human cloning. That cloning was going on, and that he didn't feel that it was an ethical thing, and since it was not ethical, in his opinion, that the government or private industry, not private, but government or government-funded industries should not be supporting that. I guess he was talking about, science, because a part of the national budget, is for research and development, the government national budget, and for science. And so he was complaining that money should not be spent that way, that he saw it as, again, something unethical. And I really, it kind of took me aback because we all have heard about the cloning of animals and the the cloning and cross-pollination of plants and different things like that, GMOs, etc. Fake food, what I'm saying? What's the new burger that's out right now? It's not a real burger. It's some kind of burger, they call it. I can't even think of what it is. I don't eat, beef and stuff like that. But the long and the short of it is that he went on talking about it. And then it brought back to my memory about 7 years ago, a master witch that I was friends with, had received a VIP invitation to go and hear Barack Obama speak at the University of Rhode Island in New England. And she invited me as her guest. Again, she was a witch. At the time, I didn't really see that. But in time, I realized that when I saw her in the backyard with a bunch of other women, with a pentagram, putting sticks down there, praying to it, then it became very clear, that if I had any questions about, who I was friends with, it pretty much cleared itself up. And I think but as you know, I realized at that particular time I had placed myself, in a position of danger and compromise, because you can't, walk in the darkness and at the same time, walk in the light. So that friendship was severed. But the point of it is when I went to see Obama, I had a chance to be up close and personal to the stage, and there was just a little barrier between the stage and where we happened to be standing. And prior to him coming out and doing his little speech, he had his people walking around asking people different little questions, and then they left. And then later he got up and he started to speak, and he brought up all these things that I heard his helpers asking people around the little gate area. Things that, he really didn't know anything about. They fed him that information. And I thought, how strange. Why are they feeding him, this kind of information, 20 minutes before he's coming up, to speak? But that's what they did. And then so after he finished speaking, it was time for him to walk off the podium. And I realized that he didn't know how to walk off, I guess I would call a 12 by 12 size podium. He didn't know how to walk off the podium. They literally had to tell him how to walk. I mean, he turned his head just like that. And they kind of was guiding him how to walk off, where to go to get off an open podium in a gymnasium. Kid you not. And again, I thought that a little strange, but okay, I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm just excited. I'm going to see a president. For the first time in my life, I'm going to be up and close to see a president of the United States of America. That itself excited me. Not the fact that he was black or anything. Well, we know better now. Not because he was black. It was just because, again, I'm like, wow, you know, another event in my life that I never would have expected. This is the excitement that's going on in my mind at the time. But I'm still observant to everything else that's happening. And so they had to guide him on how to walk off the podium. And then they took him around the little fence area, and he was, you know, shaking hands. And when he got up to where I was, I shook, you know, I reached out my hand, shook his hand, and I got a chill. I was like, what the hell? And he kept on walking. And he happened to look back over at the witch that was standing next to me, and it was almost like they kind of made eye contact. Well, they did make eye contact, almost like in a familiarity standpoint, although I know the witch didn't know him. But, you know, it was, I don't know, it was that weird eye contact. You know, when somebody look at somebody, oh, you look like somebody I know, that kind of thing. But the shock of it was to me that when I shook that man's hands, and I've said this before, and there are people that I know, and they know I told this story 7 years ago, before this knowledge that I'm going to share with you, because I'm going to bring the book forward with this as well. But before I really understood anything about cloning of human beings, you know, I brought this forward after this thing. I said, this is the weirdest. I said, this man had no soul in him. And I don't mean he was mean and vicious and a murderer and all of that kind of stuff, pedophile, whatever, freak. No, literally. When I shook the man's hand, I realized that I was almost like shaking hands with a cardboard box. Like, you know, you pick up a box, there's nothing there. You fill the box. You know you have it in your hands. You can see it. It's tangible. But there's nothing alive in that interaction. That's exactly what happened to me, my brothers and sisters. And then it dawned on me that, whoa, there are others among us, not only who are not of us as a people. I'm not talking about just the strangers and the heathens, but there are clones. There are men and women among us that we're looking at, dealing with, even interacting with, that are not human. And I mean literally not human. They may have a human form, a human body. They can speak, they can talk, they have human, you know, reactions. But at the end of the day, they are demons. They were created by demons to do demonic work right here on the earth. And I bring this forward to you, my brothers and sisters, because, you know, Yeshua has forewarned us that in these last days, you know what I'm saying, that perilous times will come. You follow me? That, you know, the men will be lovers of themselves. All the things that we already know. He forewarned us that, you know, that come out from among them. Be separate. You follow me? That, you know, you try the Spirit by the Spirit. Remember that? Try the Spirit, you know, interestingly enough, try the Spirit by the Spirit. What does that mean? I, for one, always thought that meant, well, you know, if their behavior is not consistent with your behavior and you're in the way, what I mean by that, you're following the path of Yah, then, you know, if they're not following the path of Yah, then, you know, then don't interact with them. But I'm beginning to realize it meant that and much, 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 much more. Well, Yah was forewarning us that a time would come, and he was using this through the prophets. He was communicating this through the prophets to forewarn us that the day would come that we would not be able to distinguish between what is real and what is not real, what is human and what is not human. And because it's not human, it could only serve one purpose on this earth, and that is to be a destroyer of all things that were created by Yah for the people of Yah. I'm talking about us, Israel. You wonder why they're polluting the skies, they're polluting the earth, they're polluting the food, they're killing off the economy, they're killing off our babies, they're transforming our children, pushing, you know, homosexuality inside of our families. All these things are being done by the enemy. You know, Yeshua warned us that. He said that, you know, that they would plant, you know, tares amongst the wheat overnight. In other words, when no one was looking. He said, when no one is looking, they're going to come in and they're going to infiltrate my people. And if my people are not wise, my people are going to end up being choked out by that which was planted in. In other words, we'll be sucked in to a world that was never ours, into a society that was set up to fight against Yah. And if we did not have the wisdom, the eyes to see, the ears to hear, that we would also be consumed by them. And that's where we are, today. When I heard Clinton talking about that, a couple of days ago, and that was 20 some odd years ago, if he was talking about human cloning 20 some odd years ago, you can imagine where it is today. And I suspect all this artificial intelligence, the Sophia, and all of these so-called, robots, I think there'll be a little bit more to it than what we think. I think many of us are thinking, well, we'll be able to detect that it's a robot. What if these robots are not robots, but they're clones? With no soul. Can you imagine what they will say, what they would do, the harm that they would bring to Israel and Judah? I say this, my sisters and brothers, because we are going to have to be on guard now. We're going to have eyes, as the old saying, behind our heads. In essence, we're going to have to come back to Yah. Because those of us who don't, we will be destroyed. We will be destroyed. If you remember in the end of the book, it talks about the battle of Armageddon. Who are they coming after? They say they're coming to fight against Yah. No, Yah is only coming because they're coming to destroy us. And Yah is coming with his angels to defend us after much murder and mayhem. And he's going to settle it up. But between now and then, my sisters and brothers, it is time now to get yourself covered. It is time now to get refocused. It is time now to separate yourself. If you got friends, if you have friends and you have family members who who reject the truth, who want to call the word of Yah a lie, you're going to have to make the tough decision to remain amongst them and deal with the consequences that's going to befall them, or come from amongst them and be separate, so that Yah, as he did with Noah in the ark, could place you in a place of safety, so that you and your family be not destroyed. And if you have never heard this truth before, in terms of really allowing it into your soul, it is time to do it. They are real and they are among us, my sisters and my brothers. But this is nothing new. I know when we hear this, many of you say, well, you see, that's where science is going. And no, this is nothing new. Our brother Solomon said there is nothing new under the sun. We think it's new because it's being reintroduced. Because Yeshua said as it was in the days of Noah. See, they were cloning in the days of Noah. They were interbreeding in the days of Noah. And Yeshua said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the days of the return prior to the Son of Man, meaning Yeshua. Or more importantly, meaning the end of time. When you turn on a lot of these channels out here, you're hoping to hear somebody bring forward a message, something that would resonate, something that would give you something to at least say, okay, I can do this. Okay, all right, I'm not alone. But now you don't hear that. Many of these channels are supposed to be bringing forth the truth, or they bring about more confusion than ever truth. And somehow it always ends up, when you're listening to them carefully, they're trying to pick your pocket. What I mean by pick your pocket, send me some money. Send me some money. Join my Patreon. Join my Cash App. Whatever. And then you all the poor for it. When Yah said that the truth is free. The word of Yah, it has no cost to it. And I bring that forward because, again, I don't know about you, but whenever I'm listening to some of these deceivers, it brings about a quenching. It brings greed. It grieves my rahuk. It grieves. I'll use a word so you guys. It grieves my spirit. It grieves my spirit every time I hear him say it, because I'm like, why are you doing this? Why are you here? If you're not here to bring forth this truth because Yah sent you to bring forth this truth, then why are you here? And who are you? You think about it, my brothers and sisters. Go back to the book. You remember any prophet? Samuel, Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Ezra, Enoch, any of the ancient ones telling people, well, give me some money and I'll tell you the truth. The only time we ever saw that was the sons of Eli, the prophet. And they were selling, supposing, the word. I'll say it that way. They were selling it, hoeing, bringing horse into the temple of Yah. Getting sex for the word. In other words, getting gain for what was not theirs, to profit from. And Yah destroyed their wicked asses, and he destroyed Eli, their father, who was in charge of the temple, for allowing it to happen. And Eli started off as what I would have thought a righteous man. I mean, after all, he was the one who Hannah gave her son Samuel to raise as a man of Yah in the temple of Yah. And we know Samuel was a righteous man, but Elias was wicked. He cared more about his children than the ordinances and the functionings of the law of Yah, like many of you are right now. Then we've talked about this in previous videos, how we're allowing our family members, our children, in many cases, we're justifying their behavior to save face with them at the expense of our souls. Not realizing that Yah is no respecter of person. Yah don't give a damn about your heathen children. And if you follow them, you're going to end up where they're going. And if you tolerate them, then then you're going to be held accountable for encouraging what they're doing. But I want to take you back to the book, apocryphal book. I'm going to take you to 2nd Ezra. And this book is somewhat long. Trying to see how much time I have. I pray Yah be able to bring this forward very fast. If it may be a situation, my sisters and brothers, or maybe Yah will have us just read right through it. And maybe this will be your word for the day. Some of you guys are too busy. You know what I mean by that. I don't mean you're too busy for Yah, but you got so many things going on, and you got to get these things done, so you don't have the time to open the book to study. So you can just listen to me, and I'll be your partner in the study. Yah say, where there are 2 or 3 gathered in my name, I will be in the midst of them. So whether you're the teacher or you're the listener, Yah is forever present because you have given at least your heart to hearing of this word. Okay? So I'll do that part, you do your part, and we'll obviously pray that Yah does his part to open up your understandings, our understandings to this truth, okay? But this truth just going to come back and validate what I've talked about for the last several minutes. Okay, my sisters and my brothers? Okay, let's go to the word. 2nd Ezra, chapter 6, verse 1. And he said to me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, or ever the winds blew, before it thundered and lightened, or even before the foundations of paradise was laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the firmament were named, or ever the chimneys of Zion were hot, or ere the present years were sought out, or ever in the inventions of them that now sin were turned. And you heard this word, the inventions of them that now sin? The inventions. See, y'all knew that these things that you're seeing today, all this technology that you're seeing today, all these things that are taking us away from Yah today, causing us not to socialize, not to interact, these inventions that are here today, to change our DNA through inoculation, And I did say changing our DNA. At least that's the intent. And what you're going to have is individuals who had normal DNA. All of a sudden now their DNA is going to start to metamorphing into something that not only will cause them to walk off the path and have no conviction and no passion for the word of Yah, but it would also kill off our seeds, our ability to replenish the earth. Because remember, the intention of the enemy is to kill, steal, and destroy. You, I might add, Judah, Israel. When Yeshua told that to the men who were following him in John, the gospel, the Baruch of John, the Basura of John, chapter 10, verse 10, read it for yourself. He told them, he was talking to our people. He said, I just want y'all to know, there's a thief out there, Satan, and all of his demons have one intent and one purpose, and that is to kill, steal, and destroy you. To steal from you, to kill you, and to destroy you. And we see the stealing from us, where we talked about that, with how we patronize the enemy, and the enemy would never patronize us. Stealing, robbing. But I digress. I won't go into the depths of that. If you haven't made your mind up, then you've already made your mind up. If you haven't made your mind up to stop trading with them, then you've already made your mind up to trade with them. So be it. As the old saying goes, you know, so let it be written, so let it be done. Moving on, verse 6. He said, then I considered the things, and all that were made through me alone, and through none other. And this is Yah. By me also they shall be ended, and by no other. So Yah says he's going to end their inventions. He's going to end their witchcraft, their sorcery, their pride, their lives. He says he allowed it to happen for a purpose, and he's going to destroy it for a purpose. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? In other words, how do we know the time is when it's going to? Well, how are we going to realize what time we're in? As he said, as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be prior to the Son of Man coming back. And this is the question that. So here it is. Ezra is asking the same questions that the disciples asked Yeshua in Matthew 24. What are the end of the times, and when shall you return? Precepts. And he said unto me, from Abraham to Isaac, from Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hands first held the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So what does he mean by that? When he talked about the Edomites, or Esau, Gog and Magog, he says when he destroys them, he said when they come into their power, and after their season is finished, then we're going to come into our power. Then he's going to take the tail and make the tail the head again. But not until he destroys them. And all of Israel who are following after them will be destroyed with them. As a reminder to you, my sisters and my brothers, without exception, no one is going to buy their way in or barter their way in, con their way in, manipulate their way in. And Yah's not going to ask you, to go fund him to get in. Go fund him to hear this truth. After all, I got to eat too. Yah said you're supposed to get out there and use your hands to eat. In other words, your skills, your ability. You go out there and, you plant seeds and you harvest your crops. Mankind is not your crop. For Esau, yeah. But for Jacob, it should never be that way. Jacob should never follow the ways of the heathen. Use the heathen system of taking advantage of the people of Yah by bringing forth the truth of Yah to monetize for self-gain. For filthy money's sake is what he says. But anyway, when Yah finished, and he's going to destroy Esau from this earth. And then we're going to come into an earth that has been purified replenished, set apart, so that paradise lives again, and we're able to enjoy it with our family and loved ones and all of those who love Yah. Hallelujah. He says, the hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. And the other question Ezra asked not. And I answered then and said, O Lord, that bearest rule, if I have found favor in thy sight, I ask thee, show thy servant the end of thy tokens, whereof thou showest me part of the last night, or the end night, end time. So he answered and said to me, stand up on thy feet, and hear the mighty sounding voice. And you know, the mighty sounding voice. You know, there are times, you know, people can be critical of men who roar like lions. You know, you just should be quiet. You know, if you just change your tone and have a softer tone, and then maybe people will be more prone to listen to you. You can take that logic and stick it clean, what they say, where the sun doesn't shine. The men of Yah's voice are mighty. You hear that, sisters? If you're with a man and you don't hear that the mighty sound in his voice, the sound of strength in his voice, maybe you were a clone. You surely, I don't want to say you with someone that's effeminized or emasculated, but you might want to check. You might want to investigate. Because that is not the nature of the male. I'm talking about the man that's made in the image and likeness of Yah. Now, there are some others out here, and I'm going to get to that are called sons of Adam, but they're not us. And hear the mighty sounding voice. And it shall be as it was a great motion, but the place where thou standest shall not be moved. Amen. You take a stand and you believe on this stand. No, come, as I was saying, hell or high water, my sisters and my brothers. You don't let anybody remove you from the truth. They're going to come with all kind of lies. Don't believe that. Don't believe them. Don't believe him. You know, don't believe her. You need to resist that to death. You take a stand. And after you've done everything to hold that stand, continue to stand. If there's ever time in your life that you should be resilient, this is that time, my sisters and my brothers. Perseverance. Perseverance. And therefore, when he speaketh, be not afraid. I was talking to someone the other day, and they were very, very upset because someone came at them very, very aggressively. And I have to be honest with you, I rebuked them. I rebuked them. I said, the audacity that you would let a heathen cause an emotional reaction from you. You need to be bold. We don't run or fall weak-kneed before the heathens. We rise up and we look them right in the eye and we rebuke them in the name of Yeshua. I'm sorry, the name of Yahuwah. Hallelujah. Remember, Yeshua said nothing that the Father did not say. And, you know, we have to be careful because we keep going back, you know, saying, well, Yeshua, when Yeshua made it clear, I only say what my Father says. So shouldn't we be saying the same thing our Father says, the same Father that he reverenced? So in the name of Yahuwah, get thee behind me, Satan. And therefore, when he speaketh, he shall not be afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembled as it moved. For it knoweth that the end of these things must be changed. That's why you should raise your voice when these demons and these devils come upon you. I'm not talking about screaming and howling. I'm talking about being bold, being encouraged. Taking your stand. Looking them right in the eye. And letting them know, no, I am not afraid. Praise Yah. And it happened that when I heard it, I stood up on my feet. See, this is Ezra saying, I was weak-kneed too. But then I was encouraged by the hearing of the word. And then I got up on my feet and I became emboldened. And now I can see better what Yah is telling me. I can hear clear where Yah is guiding me. And I know that might say, you're mixing. No, I didn't. I said that the way I wanted to say it. But I understand is what we're really saying. Not as you're saying, okay, now I'm beginning to understand. As Solomon said, with all you're getting, get an understanding. Praise Yah. And it happened when I heard it, I stood up on my feet and I listened. And behold, there was a voice that spake. And the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. Again, the sound of many waters. That's if you've ever been out on an ocean front somewhere, or beach front somewhere where there's an ocean, and that ocean starts to come in, the tide starts to come in, you can hear that roaring. It's almost deafening. Sisters, that includes you. When you're teaching and chastising and correcting the other sisters, not your man. Let me be clear. You don't rule over him. All right? That is the way of Balaam. That is the way of destruction. A foolish woman teareth down her own house. No, you don't rule over your man. But you have many sisters. It's almost 71 men. You don't need no man to rule over when you got 71 women out here and many of them are lost. Don't have a clue of what to do. There's a whole lot of rulership and leadership and guidance needed by them. Trust me, more than enough work for you and some. You don't need to chastise him. You leave him to Yah. And he said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw near and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make an inquisition of them, what they may have and what they may be that hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness and with the affliction of my people, Zion. See, he said, I'm going to come down here real soon. He's coming now, my sisters and brothers. And he said, he's going to start questioning all of those who have done unrighteous to the people of Yah, to Judah. See, all these racists and these bigots who have been killing, robbing, incarcerating our people, you know, coming up with lying, thieving programs to rob and pillage our people, to lead our people astray, to teach our people false doctrine. Yah said, I'm going to come and I'm going to make an inquisition about this. And when I unveil their righteousness to them, I'm going to destroy their wicked asses. This is what the word is saying. That's why you should not be a part of them, my sisters and brothers. Turn them off. When they go down that path of lying and deception, trying to encourage you to go against the word of Yah by using the word Yah is all inclusive. Let's all coexist. Why can't we all get? You need to turn them off. Turn them off. Or you're going to be enticed. You're going to be charmed into following the broad path. And as Yeshua said, that is going to lead to destruction. Hallelujah. Turn them off. Don't listen. Guard your ear gate. Guard your eye gate. Y'all say, seek the truth, and you shall find it. Right? Seek and you shall find. Knock and it shall be open. Ask and it shall be given. You got to do a little work to get here. We all have to do a little work to get here. But I can assure you, once we arrive, there's going to be a welcoming. If you're genuine in your heart and you want to know Yah, you want to walk as a woman of Yah, as a man of Yah, Yah say, I will never fail you. I will never leave you. I will never forsake you. But again, you have to be resilient. You have to be determined. You have to be hungry. And you have to be disciplined. You can't go back and forwards, in and out, hot and cold. Y'all say, if you act that way, I'm going to spit you out of my mouth like vomit. You're either hot or you're cold. Either in or you're out. There's no compromise with Elohim, my sisters and my brothers. None. You want religion? You can't have Yah. You want tradition? You can't have Yah. You want to put family first? You can't have Yah. What I mean that when I say family first, in other words, I want to have a relationship with my heathen sons and daughters more than I want to have with Yah. And Yah should understand that. No, you're a liar and the truth is not in you. He'll reject you and he'll reject them. There are many examples in the book where Yah showed us that with unrighteous children, that those who followed after them were destroyed by them. I just gave you the example earlier with Eli. There's another example where man didn't follow after his heathen child. That's the story of the prodigal son. When that boy left and went out there with all of his inheritance and wasted it, his father did not go out there looking for him. His father said, let him go. And that should be your mindset. Let him go. Praise Yah. And when the world that shall begin to vanish away shall be finished, then I will show these tokens. In other words, I'm going to show them exactly their wickedness. That's why he said, at judgment, every knee is going to bow. Every tongue is going to confess. You know what they're going to confess? They say to the glory, they're going to confess, I'm guilty, I'm guilty, I'm guilty. And I did it, and I knew that I didn't have to do it, but I was more concerned with how I looked. I was more concerned about how fine I was. I was more concerned about, how much money I had and how many cars I had and how many women I could get. I was more concerned with all those things. I didn't give a damn about you, Yah. I figured I'd get to you later when I had some time. When I was done with my fast living and my heathen lifestyles, I figured, okay, before I die, I'll settle the score. I'll settle up with you. And Yah said, you're a damn lie. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. I never knew you. We read that in Matthew 7:21 through what? 26, 27. And that's what many of our people are being seduced into believing. But Yah's word is not in error, my sisters and my brothers. Heaven and earth will pass away, and Yah's word is still going to be here. And the reason it's going to still be here, because it is what we're going to all be judged by. I'm going to be judged by sitting here this morning doing what I'm doing. You're going to be judged by sitting there listening to what you're listening to. We're all going to be judged by our behaviors and our actions. What did we do to bring forth the word of Yahuwah? What did we do to help our people clearly see who they are as the apple of Yah's eye, and to encourage them to come out from among them? These are the things, this is the tokens he's talking about. Some of us are going to have many tokens, and some of us, the few tokens that we had, are going to be taken away. Because we cared more about what man thinks than what Yah says. And you need to understand that. You need to hear that, my sisters and my brothers. We all need to understand that. We all need to hear this. Tomorrow is not promised to any of us. Not only is tomorrow not promised to any of us, provisions are not even promised to any of us in these evil days. I mean, many of us may have a job today and no job tomorrow. Many of us may have a roof over our heads today and no roof over our head tomorrow. Many of us may have food in our cupboards and our refrigerators and no food in our cupboards and our refrigerators tomorrow. This is happening to people right now. So why would you waste your energy serving them when Yah has given you every ability to walk with him? And he said, seek ye first the kingdom. In other words, the truth. And then with everything that you have need of, he will provide. Why would I trust in a man who could give me something, and then as soon as he gets angry or jealous or envious, he takes it away? She takes it away. Yah doesn't get envious and jealous of materialism. What Yah gives you, he gives you. He's not a man where he's what they so-called giver and taker. If Yah gives you something, he provides for you, it will be enough provision for you. It brings back to mind, when our people were in the wilderness for 40 years. Now, Yah could have killed every last one of them for their rebellion. And what was their rebellion? They did not believe the word of Yah. They did not listen to the men who were called of Yah to guide them. They refused to follow them into the promise, into the truth. And Yah had already told them that he would be with them. But they rebelled because they were looking at man. They took their eyes off of Yah and started looking and worrying about what man thought, what man would think, what man might do to them. And Yah said, therefore, I'm going to judge you as I judge a man, instead of judging you as my children. See, we all know this is true. Our judgment for our children is totally different than our judgment for strangers. Totally different. And that's Yah's way with us. That's Yah's love for us when we walk in obedience to his words, to his laws, statutes, and commandments. But when we reject, then he treats us the same way you will reject a stranger who's coming expecting, you to treat them like they're a family member. Hey, somebody knocking your door. Hey, I don't know you, but can I come in and stay a few days, eat, relax, watch a little television, and, etc. And y'all will look at them and say, you'll look at these people and say, who the hell are you? And if you don't get off of my property, that's the way Yah looks at those of us who are in rebellion. Who the hell are you? And if you don't get off of my property, is that what you want for yourself, my sisters and brothers? Because that's what happens, again, when you put yourself in the place of a stranger. In other words, disobedience. And as our ancestors were in that wilderness for those 40 years because of their rebellion, one thing that Yah did not do, he didn't starve them out. They didn't die of thirst. When they were thirsty, Moses hit rocks and spoke to rocks and they got water. When they were hungry, Yah brought forth manna, sweet bread for them to eat. When they wanted meat, Yah sent quails. Of course, many of them choked to death because of their rebellious and the fact, again, instead of being satisfied with Yah gave them, they wanted to add to it, like many of these heathens are doing. When they bring forth the word, instead of just letting the word be the word, I want a little money, I want a little something extra for a little land yap, as they say down south. I'll give it to you, but you're going to give me something for it. If you don't, then don't follow my channel. Well, these devils are something special. But Yah still provided for them in those 40 years, even though they were in rebellion. Because Yah does not give bread to his children and then, act like, doesn't give bread to his children and then because of their ignorance, walk away from them and say, well, I ain't giving you no bread. He's not like man. That's man. That is man's way. That's not Yah's way. Praise Yah. That's why we love him like we do. Because we know there's a reward for us while we walk here, and there's a greater reward when he comes and he governs us. When he's finished with Esau. And all of Esau's relatives, as I like to say. Praise Yah. And that's a promise. Don't forget it. It's why we stand. He goes on to say, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away, and this world is going in. That's why this is an end time ministry. This world is going to end. And a lot of you guys are acting like, oh, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. Okay. You're going to be waiting. You're going to be waiting. Well, if we all go out there and just do, what Dr. Fauci say and what the president say and what Bill Gates says, then, we can get back to normal real fast. Okay. Okay. You can let these men guide you to destruction if you want to. Or some of your family, your pastors and preachers sit there and encourage you to go the way after the heathen. But you need to remember, things that affect them one way affect us a total different way. We don't have the same DNA. They can do things and keep on going the same, and we can try those same things and we'll be destroyed. I mean, there's some things going on with HIV and lymph nodes, coming into women, after they've, got that thing, and all of a sudden they're finding this stuff in their bodies and no one seems to be questioning it. And still they're encouraging it to be done to you and to your children. And many of you going right along with it because you're believing the lie that this world is not going to vanish. That it's just, just a matter of time and things going to come back to normal. If that's true, then the word of Yah is a lie. And I got news for you, my sisters. Yah is not man that he lies. But, again, like the old Burger King slogan said, have it your way. Have it your way. In the end, you will be confessing that your way was not the right way. Yahweh was the right way. But at that point, it will be no more repentance. It will only be judgment for you. Just saying. Now, guys, I'm going to skip a couple of verses because I want to shorten this up a little bit. Verse 23 says, the trumpet shall give a sound which every man will hear, and shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time, friends fight one another like enemies. Huh? Are friends fighting one another right now like enemies? I think we always say, yeah. You got people in your own household, people you've been friends with most of your life, and now, you know, they hate you. They have no relationship with them. They're petty. They pick. You know, they're antagonistic. They're manipulative. If you don't do it the way they do it, they'll cut you off like they never knew you. He said at the sound of the trumpet, this would happen. Well, the sound of the trumpet is the end times. That's what he means. The sound of the trumpet is the end time. These are things that would happen in the end times, the things that are happening right now. Now, some of you ought to be encouraged to hear that, and some of you all should be shitting your pants to hear this, depending on what side you're on. Yah's side, which is the narrow and straight way, or the world side, which is the broad and destructive way. But he is forewarning us and telling us that when that trumpet sounds, certain things are going to happen. And the trumpet is sounding because it's a forewarning. I'm on my way. The end is very near, even at the very door. When something is at your door, the next step, it comes in. That's where we are right now. Amen. And at that time, friends shall fight one against another like enemies. And the earth shall stand in fear. Everybody's afraid. Everybody's masked up. Nobody wants to be around anybody anymore. Everybody's afraid if somebody get within 6 feet of them, something's going to happen to them. Across the whole, you don't think it's strange the whole world at the same time is acting this way, my sisters and my brothers? That doesn't make you say, No other time in the history of man has this happened over the whole world. There were times nations were acting this way when they didn't know other places on the planet existed. But now the whole world is acting this way. And Yah foretold that it would happen in the end of the days of man. And at that time, we'll say it for a third time. At that time, friends shall fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. Isn't that something? You tell me that people are not walking around here afraid over the whole earth that they're going to get, the plague. And it says the springs of the fountain shall stand still. In other words, resources are going to dry up. When he says the springs of the fountain will stand still, it means that there's going to be no more reserves, no more water, no more food, no more resources. He said the springs of the earth are going to dry up. Remember, the life of anything is water. Anything that's natural, the life of it is water. And he said the springs are going to dry up. So you guys who thinking that, somehow or another, there's going to be enough food to go around. We've already told you to prepare. Yah warned you, prepare. He told Noah before he got in the ark, no, I want you to get 2 clean. I want you to take 2 of this. I want you to get this in the ark. I want you to bring that in the ark. And make sure you got all these things together. So when I tell you to go in the ark, you got everything that you need. See, Yah is no respected person. Yah is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He warned Noah what to do. He warns us right now what we should have already done. And many of us are still standing around waiting. And just like it happened to those in the days of Noah, it's going to catch them unawares. It's going to catch many of you, Judah, unaware. Because you're still standing around waiting, looking to see what's going to happen. Looking out the window. Well, I don't see nothing yet. I don't see nobody. All right. Don't you understand when you do see them, you're out of time? The time to react is when you don't see anybody. That's when you should be preparing. Not when they're there. It's too late then. But see, that's the way of deception. That's how we deceive ourselves. That's how we're being deceived. Always thinking, I got time. I got time. And yet Yah said no one knows the time. So how do you know you have time? Now is the time. The day is the day. When you hear my voice, harden not your heart. React, respond, move, come out, separate yourself. Hallelujah. Praise Yah. For the fountains, or the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Think about that. That means suddenly it's going to happen. I'm talking about when it's all gone. It's all trickling right now. You still got a little trick. You said the water is dripping. You still got a little dripping that you still can get some stuff right now. But a day going to come when there's nothing. We saw that with silliness, but the toilet paper rush last year. You remember that? And then he goes on to say, whosoever remaineth from all these that I have told thee shall escape, and they shall see my salvation and the end of your world. See, he says, those who hearken and who are listening to these messages, to these teachings, he said, you will escape because you would have responded and you would have taken action. And he said, and that way you will see his salvation. But you're not going to blame Yah when it's too late. That's what many, well, Yah, how can you do it? Yah said, look, no, you're not blaming me. I forewarned you. I sent forth the prophets and the messengers. Remember the rich man and Lazarus? When Abraham told him they got the prophets, if they don't hear the prophets, then they're not going to hear somebody that comes back from the dead. See, many people say, well, I'm going to wait for Yah to come back, and then I'm going to start asking Yah all these questions. No, so Yah said, I'm going to do the question. I'm going to make the inquisitions, not you. If you got questions, you better be asking right now. And more importantly, you better be listening to the answer. And then the men that are received shall see it, and who have not tasted death from their birth. And the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed and turned to another meaning. For the evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. Now he's talking about when it's ending. In other words, he's talking now to the elect, to those of us who are going to obey this truth, those of us who are going to act on this truth, and those of us who are going to stand on this truth unto death if necessary. But Yah said you're not going to die. If you're standing on this word, you're standing on truth, Yah says, I will give you my salvation. Now, what do you want? Ask yourself, my sisters, my brothers, what do you want? What do you want? And my brothers and sisters, if you could just see the distractions that are happening right now through this unit that I'm using to bring forth this message, you would be shocked. And I know, all I'm simply saying is it's not those who are trying to reach out. What it is the enemy who's trying to shut me up by distracting me by those who are trying to reach out. But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So if you were trying to reach me over this last 20, 30 minutes, don't take offense to what I just said. I'm just saying to you, Yah works first, and then whatever comes after that, if it's Yah will, you'll hear from me, or you'll talk to me, or you'll see me. Verse 28. As for faith, it shall flourish, and corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has so long been without fruit, shall be declared. Now I'm going to stop right there at verse 26, because I want to skip right over to something right over here to verse. I'm going to skip from there to go to verse 24. I encourage you to read it. If you have the apocryphal books, the cipher, you follow me? You can find this. I'm not sure if 2nd Ezra is in the cipher Bible, a book, but you can get it through the apocryphal books, okay? If it's not there. There are many books where you can find it. All right, including the 1611 King James Version of the Scriptures. Verse 44. He goes on to say, for immediately there shall be a great and innumerable fruit, and many diverse pleasures for the taste, and the flowers of unchangeable color, and the odors of wonderful smell. And this was done on the 3rd day. Now he's talking about creation. But let me bring it even farther down. Let's go to verse 49. And then didst thou ordain 2 living creatures. And this is where we're going to end where this message began. I want you to listen to this real carefully. Then did thou ordain 2 living creatures, one called Enoch, the other Leviathan, and did separate the one from the other. So there's a division. See, y'all's no respect of person, and y'all love everybody. Y'all love the whole world. Hey, this is Yah saying, I separated them. Then did thou ordain 2 living creatures, one called Enoch, the other called Leviathan, and did separate one from the other for the 7th part, namely, when the waters were gathered together, that they may not hold them both. And then unto Enoch thou gavest 1 part, which was dried, hallelujah, up the 3rd day, and he shall dwell in that same part, where there are 1,000 hills. But unto Leviathan thou gavest the 7th part, namely the marks, and hast kept him to be devoid of whom thou wilt. In other words, to be destroyed. He's using Leviathan to destroy. And remember, we talked about Leviathan a couple of days ago when we did Enoch. Remember that? And we talked about the spirit of Leviathan, how it entices and seduces men to turn men away from Yah. And many men are falling because of the lust inside of them. Because their desires, their eyes are taking them away. Instead of having their eyes on Yah like we're instructed to, they got their eyes on these females. I'm talking about these seducing females. Those females out there who are using their charm, their looks, their bodies as a sexual attraction. Just as they did for the angels that fell. Those angels that fell, that was talked about in Joshua and Genesis, those women enticed those angels through their looks and the shaking of their asses and the mutilation of their bodies, and made them angels want to come down and have sex with them. And they did. They fell. And the women were judged, and the damn angels were judged. And some of these sisters are still being judged for that behavior, and some of them who are not being judged yet will be judged. Go back and read Isaiah 3 and 4. You'll find out how Yah is going to deal with them. That hauntedness. Their little bracelets and their makeup and their little fine, clothing and their little weaved out hairs and all of these things. Praise Yah. I'm going to skip down to verse 54. And after these, Adam also, whom thou madest the Lord of all the creatures. Of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. And this I have spoken before Elohim, because thou hast made the world for our sakes. As for the other people, which also came of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing. Did you hear what I just said? He said there were other people. When he says Adam, it's like man. He said there are other people like man, but they are nothing. Cloning. Demons. Taking on the shape of humans. You see how Yah took this thing all the way back, my sisters and brothers? Read it for yourself. Let me read it to you again. Verse 56. As for the other people, not the people that he mentioned a couple of verses before, the people that he put to have dominion over the earth, he said, no, there were some others who were of Adam, other people. And they're nothing. In other words, nothing inside of them. Why do you think they can go around destroying and killing and murdering babies and sleeping with the same sex and pushing all this wickedness upon the earth? Why do you think they're able to do that with no conscience? Doesn't bother them at all. They delight in it. Why do you think that is? They can come and exploit your community, but will do no business with you. And they'll come and take out of your community, but never support your community. Why do you think that is? Because they have no soul. There's nothing in them. That's why we shouldn't be dealing with them. They are the enemy of our people. And many of our people refuse to accept this truth. But Yah is going to deal with you for that. First, he's going to let them deal with you. And then he's going to deal with you when they finish with you. And we know what they're capable of doing. Goodness gracious. There he goes again. Verse 56. As for the other people, which also come out of Adam, Thou hast said they are nothing. See, these are these ones who these women slept with, these daughters of the sons of Adam, who slept with these fallen ones who created this demon seed. He's talking about them. He's talking about them. And a lot of you sisters, again, who are being seduced by these other people like Meghan Markle and some of them, I know she's a mixed breed. She's a Samaritan at best. But I'm saying it ain't just the Meghan Markle that's out here being seduced by these devils. A lot of you sisters of Judah are also flattering and encouraging and interacting with them demons. And you know it. But when your own men come around you, you all of a sudden you steal up and you resist them and you look down upon them with this look of hatred. Mean mugging, as they say. And then when the men start to rebel against you, then you call them out for their unseemly behavior. But you never evaluate why. Why? Because you don't have the right spirit in you. For you had the right spirit, you would understand that they're hurt. I'm not making excuses up for the men of Judah, but I am telling you, yeah, they're hurt. They're injured. The world has injured them. And then the world is taking the most precious thing that Yah gave them, you, and now using you, my sisters, to injure them. And many of you have not acknowledged your sin in doing such a thing. And it's time for you to repent. No, you may not be able to change them, but you can change yourself. And then maybe Yah can change them and bring them back to you so that they can be in their rightful place in the home and the family. But if you're not there, why should they come home? If you don't want them, why should they come back? That's a question you should ask. If they think you despise and you hate us, why would we want to be with you? It can't get fixed if you're in rebellion, my sisters, is what I'm saying. And I'm not making excuses for some of these wicked-ass men out here. I understand why many of you are guarded against them. But going the way of the heathen, that's not going to solve your problem, sisters. Even though media and everything is telling you, go get you a white one or an Asian one or a brown one or some other one. That's not going to solve it. It's going to exaggerate it to a point where your seed will be totally wiped out. What's your seed? Your seed is Elohim's seed. Do you really want to be a part of eliminating the seed of Elohim from the land? Because through your womb, Elohim chose to come. Not from the heathen seed, my sisters. So do you want to populate the world with demon seed? I know you don't. And there's work to be done on both sides. But first, the truth has to be heard. First, you have to soften your heart and say, okay, I'm going to give him a reason to come home. Let's see what happens. I'm going to trust Yah. And Yah say, the elect of his, they're going to come back to you if they're not already with you. Some have already come back. Praise Yah. Again, one more time, verse 56. And we're almost done. Thank you for sticking around so long. I think you understand why now. Why Yah has kept you seated and listening. As for the other people which also come out of Adam, thou hast said they are nothing, but like unto spit, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop of that falleth from a vessel. A drop. He said, I liken them to a drop. In other words, they are worthless. They are not even worth the time of consideration, is what Yah is saying. Talking about those others. And yet many of us are following after them and loving them and embracing their culture and their when I mean culture, their feminization, and you know what I'm saying, and their domination and their homosexuality and their gender, removing, you know what I'm saying, erasing, etc., etc., etc. Embracing, their inventions, even if it means altering who we are as a people. And then he ends and says, oh, now, Elohim, behold the heathen. Look at the heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing. And they have begun to be lords over us, to kill us, to devour us, to kill us. And you're embracing the people who want to destroy you, my sisters and my brothers. If you're guilty, You're embracing the people who want to destroy us. And that's what Ezra is saying. That's why he said that Esau is the end of the world and Jacob is the new beginning that follows. That's why he's saying that. He said these people are here to kill and destroy. They look like us, but they're not us, my sisters and my brothers. When I say look, I'm not talking about, some of them have our melanin, and some of them as pale as ghosts. But he says, they may be Adam-like. They may have come even from Adam, but they're not the people of Yah. Israel and Judah, we are the people of Yah. That's what he's trying to tell you, my sister. And surely that's what I'm bringing forward. The question is, will you accept it and will you receive it? Will you repent and let Yah open up your heart and your understanding that you may be healed, that the relationships may be healed, that our families may be safe and embrace salvation so that we can be protected from the evil day that is coming and coming very soon. You heard me say it earlier. I read it earlier to you. The trumpet has already blown. Your family members are like enemies now. Daughters against mothers, father against sons. A man's enemy is going to be in his own household. Even Yeshua warned us of that in Matthew chapter 24. Remember that? Line upon line, precept on precept. But thy people are given into thy hands. And this is what Ezra said. He said, we are given to the hands of Yah. And if the world now be made for our sakes, and he said, why do we not possess the inheritance of the world? And how long shall this go on? And my sisters and brothers, I'm going to answer that question for Ezra. Not long. How long will it go on? Not long. All right? It's wrapping up. And guys and ladies, you better get ready. It is wrapping up. We are out of time. Look around. Look at what's going on. Some of the most abnormal things, some of the things are happening we would have never could imagine what happened only a year and a half ago. There are clones amongst us, living dead amongst us, all kind of debauchery around. We're being told there are people that you're looking at on television who you think are real people. These are not people. These are clones. Some of these, I would tell you that be careful, even Trump, like I told you, Obama, earlier in this message. Biden, you watch. Biden can't talk worth of shit right now. They won't even let him on the cameras right now because he can't keep up with anything, almost out of his mind. Senile. But watch, they're going to do something. And they're going to give you a Biden who's going to be very articulate and very smooth. And you're going to say, oh, I thought he was not doing well. The question is, will it be Biden? I think not. But anyway, who gives a shit? I don't care what he does. I only care what Yah says and what Yah is going to do. And I hope this message encourages you to feel the same way as I do. Praise Yah. May Yah bless you. May Yah protect you. May Yah put his Rahuk around you. May Yah give you peace and give you mercy. May Yah shine his light for your pathway so you can know how to walk on this day. And may Yah give you the victory over the enemy and give you the grace to follow his word and the grace to receive his blessings. Prepare now, guys, ladies. If you haven't got reserves, get them together right now. Remember, the springs are about to dry up. DFG, talk to you later. Bye now.